Alright, so here's number 56. And some more circle angles and stuff. So determine the value of x if angle E here is 2x plus 30. Okay, well, we know that. I have a phone call coming in. Let me take it. Alright, so we know that angle DKA here is a 180 degree angle. And how do we know that? Well, just kind of do, they don't really tell us that for sure, but it is, you can kind of presume it here. Kind of have to in order to solve the problem. Okay, and if DKA is the the diameter of this circle, then DEA is an inscribed angle of this diameter, which is 180 degrees, so that you know that angle DEA is 90 degrees. And if that angle is 90 degrees, then you can say that 90 degrees equals 2x plus 30. So then you can say 60 degrees equals 2x. So x equals 15. Okay. So there you go with that one. Excuse me, x equals 30. Divided by 4 there, x equals 30 degrees. Okay, so if x equals 30 degrees, that's the value of x. Okay, so there you go. Now determine the measure of angle D. We're trying to figure out the measure of angle D here. If measure of angle A is 2x minus 20. Okay, well, if x equals 30, if x equals 30, then angle A here, angle A equals 2 times 30 minus 20, which will equal 60 minus 20, which equals 40 degrees. So that's 40 degrees, and this is a 90 degree angle. Then this must be equal, this plus this is 90 degrees. Then angle D must equal 90 minus 40, which equals 50 degrees. Alright, so we're making animals out of some parts of paper. The head is made of this is a sector of 1.5 centimeters. 1.5 centimeters is the radius, and the central angle measuring 130 degrees. So that's 130 degrees, so that's 130 degrees. The body has a semicircle. The radius measuring 1.9 centimeters, and so this is 180 degrees. 180 degrees. What fraction of the whole circle is the head? Okay, well, so that's easy. That's just 1/30 over 3/60, which is 13/36. And then how much string will he need to outline the bird's head? That is not touching the beak or the neck. So it's asking for this arc right here. So it's going to be 2 pi r, that's the circumference equation, times 13 divided by 36. That's the ratio of that. So it's going to be 2 times pi times r, which is 1.5 centimeters, times 1336. So I already got 1336 locked in my calculator. Multiply that by 1.5 times 2 times pi equals, that's going to be equal to 3.4 centimeters. That's that. Okay, what's the next one say? What is the total area of the light blue construction figure paper used to construct the bird area of the head and body? Okay, so the head is going to be pi r squared times 13 over 36. So, because it's just this fraction here, right? And then this is the area equation, right? So it's going to be pi times 15 or 1.5 centimeters squared times 13 over 36, which equals 1.5 squared times pi times 13 equals divided by 36. That's going to be 2.55 square inches. That's for the head. And then for the body, it's going to be pi r squared. And then it's going to be 1/2 or 180 over 360, if that's the way you want to do it, which is the way I normally do it, which is just to make intuitive sense. Okay, so here is, what was it? It was 1.9 squared, yeah. Pi times 1.9 centimeters squared, and that's it for the, and then 180 over 360. Alright, so this is 1 point. It's going to be 1.9 squared times pi times 180 equals, divided by 360 equals 5.67 inches squared. We'll add those two together. 0.55. We'll get 8.22 square inches. Okay. So that's that question. Now we have number 58. It says, given this equation, determine the values of E such that the equation could be a circle. Okay, so we got to put this in square, circle point form. So let's get this. Let's complete the square here, and let's do that. Okay, so our x squared in purple, and we'll do our y squared, and our y I'm using blue, and our constants will just not be marked. Well, I guess our constants will be in black. Okay, remember our form for our circle equations should be in x squared, oops, no, sorry, x plus h squared plus y minus k squared, sorry, that should be minus k squared equals your radius value squared. That's our form for a circle. So we got to complete the square here, and your radius has to be something positive. Okay, so let's complete the square here for our x values. X squared plus 2x, okay, and then our y squared value is going to be y squared minus 4y, and then this is all going to be something equals negative e. Okay, so here we gotta complete the square to figure out what actually, what is this thing asking me to do here? Alright, so we're going to complete the square. So in order to complete the square, we have to take half of our x value, which is 1, and square it, which is 1 plus 1. Right, so then we're going to turn that into a polynomial squared. So that, take the square root of the first value, which is x, and then this is a positive, or this is a plus in front of our second term. We'll take the square root of our third term and put it in there, and that is that. Okay. Now, when we added this plus 1 over here, right, in order to balance our equation over here, we have to add plus 1 to that as well. So we got to add that over there as well. Okay. So now we have to complete the square over here too. Right. So we have to. This is going to be our. In order to figure out what this square is, I'm gonna take half of it, which is going to be -2, and then we're going to square it. -2 squared is going to be 4. Okay, so we have to add 4. Add 4 to this side as well. Okay, so adding 4 to that side, we have e plus 1 plus 4. Okay, so this is plus 5. I can do plus 1 plus 4 in that line still. Okay, so then we're going to have y squared. It's going to become y. We're going to square that, which is going to become, take the square root of that, excuse me, become 2. We're going to square that, and then this is going to become equal to -e plus 5. Okay, that means that e can be anything. E can be anything that is less than 5. Okay, as long as e is anything less than 5, right? Because if I have anything more than 5, if this is all real numbers less than 5, right? Because if e was anything more than 5, right, it would be negative whatever it is, and it would make this side of the equation negative, and I can't have a radius that's, negative, because then I would not have a circle. Okay, so this is all real numbers less than 5. Hope that makes sense. Alright, this one is number, I didn't skip any, did I? I don't think so. This was from, let's see, yeah, 58, now we're on 59. Okay, so we have a circle with some midpoints here. Oh, sorry, a circle with some points here that are the diameters, and it says to locate the center of the circle. Well, all we got to do here is find some midpoints of these circles and see where they bisect each other, and we'll find those midpoints, right? Like if we take this guy here and this guy here, like this, and we take this guy here and this guy here, and we do that. It says that the diameters of the circle, right, wherever those diameters bisect each other, those would be radii, right? And that there is our midpoint. So we gotta figure that out. All right, so let's look at. I should have changed these different colors. We'll make this one. We'll make ED. Make ED like burgundy. ED like burgundy. Yeah. Get burgundy looking. Okay, that's our ED. It's burgundy looking. So yeah, that'll be DE. So this is point D. It's 6, 6. And point, let's see, E. Point E at, E is 4, 2. Okay, those are E. And D C is 3, 5. 3 and 3 comma 5. That's that one. And we have point B is 7 and 3. So what are the what's the length of all those? Remember that these themselves are just little triangles that you got to figure out, right? So you change an x and you change an y. So let's do CB first. CB, right? You can also figure out your slope while you're at it if you wanted to, right? So your change in y and your change in x, right? Oh, I forgot to write B. 7 and 3. And this will be, C. Oh, I gotta put an underline there. CB. So this is your final. That's your initial. So it's going to be your final. Remember, your change is final minus initial. Right? Anyway, so this is just an easier way that I find to figure out your length instead of just marking this up with a bunch of triangles. Find the slope, and then with the slope, you can also help you find the use Pythagoras theorem. It's going to be a negative slope, right? But it's going to be 7. If you're changing y, it's going to be 3 minus 5. I guess you don't have to do the negative slope thing if you're doing the actual changes in. 3 minus 5 is going to be negative 2. And then you're going to be 7. Changing x is 7 minus 3, which is 4. So your slope is negative 1/2. But this is your actual numbers. These are your actual numbers here that you're going to put in for your length. That's your actual numbers for your length. So your length of CB is going to be equal to the square root of 2 squared plus 4 squared. You don't have to put in the negative 2 there because it's going to turn into a positive 2 anyway. Right, so your length is going to be 2 squared plus 4 squared equals 16. Right, and that's going to be square root of 20. Square root of 20, or 2 square root of 5. Okay. Or another way you can look at that is your change in x is 4, right, for this guy. So your change in x is 4 for this. So starting here, half of that is going to be changed in x is going to be 2. Right, so if you start at 3 and you add 2, you start at 3 and you add, change in x was 4, and you add 2. Oh, wait a minute, you're changing, yeah, you shared 3x and you add your change in x was at 2, your new x coordinate is going to be 5, and your change in y was 1, and you add, so you're gonna subtract, well, it's actually negative 2, so you're gonna subtract 1, so you're gonna start at 5, so your new, so it's gonna be, it was 5, right, you're gonna subtract 1, so it should be minus, I guess it should be, it's gonna be, it starts 5, subtract 1, it's gonna be 4. And there it is. It's 5, 4. So that's your 5, 4. 5, 4 is now your midpoint. And that's your midpoint for that point. Okay. And it'd be beholden to say that it's probably going to be the same thing for DE. Right. So your slope's going to be 2, I bet, for DE because it's perpendicular to that. So DE slope, DE is going to be your change in x. This is your slope for ME, by the way, for CD, and this is your slope for DE. Right, so your slope is going to be your change in y over your change in x. Your change in y is going to be 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is equals to 4. Your change in x is 6 to 2, which is 6 minus 2, which is wait a second, 62, 62, which is going to be 4. So that's going to be 4. I guess it doesn't have to be the negative slope. Them have to be perpendicular lines, right? So let's see. That's let me check these right. 4, 2, 4, 2, 6, 6, 6, 6. Yeah, okay. So that is going to be 4 and 4. So your slope here is going to be 1, which makes sense. This is a 1-to-1 slope. Okay. So your change for both of these, your x and your y's, is going to be 2 for each. So either way, they start at, for your y value, or your x value here, it starts at 4. It starts at 4. It goes up. It goes up 2, right? Or it goes over 2, right? So you're gonna go from 4 to 6. So it's gonna go over 1. 1 is halfway. That's your midpoint. So it's gonna go over 1. So it's 5. Same thing with your y. It starts at 4, and it's 6, so it's going to go over 1. So 5, 4. Yep. So that is your midpoint for both, and that is that's the length of your that's the point of your midpoint. Okay. So find the length of your radius. So I'm just going to pick any one of these points over here, and I'm going to go 5, 4, and I'm going to go to 7, 3, the B. I'm going to go to, this is my initial, and then 7, 3 is my final. Okay, and so the length is going to be, so my change in x equals 7 minus 5, which is 2. My change in y equals 1. So it's going to be negative 1, but that's fine, doesn't matter. Because my length, which is going to be my radius, equals square root of 2 squared plus 1 squared equals the square root of 5. So that's going to be the square root of 5, which so happens to be half of my diameter, which that all makes sense, half of my diameter. All right, so let's write an equation that shows what this would be. Remember, my standard equation is going to look just like this. That's how you set it up, with an x and a y, right? And then something squared. Okay. Your radius is going to go in there, right? So I'm just going to put square root of 5 squared. I'm going to keep it like that. You might be able to put 5 there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it like that. Okay. Your x value for your point goes here. I'm going to put 5. And your y value goes here. And that's the equation right there. So what is, so here's number 60. What is the equation for a circle centered at -2 with a diameter of 2 units? So if the diameter equals 2, the radius equals 1. Okay, so again, you set your equation up like this. Okay, -1 becomes +1. Made -2 still stays -2, and 1 becomes 1 squared. And that's your equation. Alright, so that's number 60. Moving on. I think we might be done with circles. Nope, we're not done with circles yet. Okay, what's your equation? Another one of these. Oh, but we have to find the radius. Alright, so we can start off with this. Again, -2 becomes +2. negative 5 becomes plus 5. Alright, so now what's our radius? Let's go ahead and put our center point at negative 2 and negative 5. That's the center point. And then it passes through 5 and 0. It passes through point 5, 0. So it passes through point 5, 0. So that means it passes through this point. So we just need to find that length, right? So we just need to find the length between that point and that point. And that is our radius. That's our radius length, because it's going to pass through that. So effectively what it's going to kind of look like here. Something like that. Okay, it's kind of looking like that. Okay, so we got to figure out this thing. So just do this the good old drawing way, I guess. We have an x going this way, and we have a y going this way. Since they gave us a drawing, we'll use a drawing. Our y value, our ups and downs, is our absolute value is 5. So it goes from 0 to 5. Our x value, it's 2 this way. So it's 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 that way. So our green value, hypotenuse, also our radius, is 7 squared plus 5 squared. That's going to be that. Right, so 7 squared plus 5 squared equals 74. I don't think that comes out nice, but it's the square root of 74. So that's the square root of 74. So 74 come out nice at all. So let's see, 74 divided by 2, 37. That's a prime number, I think. Yeah, this is the square root of 74. Make sure it's 5 and 1, 2. Yep, that's 5. I'll double check that to make sure I didn't make any silly errors. Alright, here's number 62. This is another completing of the square thing. And then we got to figure out the range and domain, or maybe just the range. Alright, so let's get our x's all in a line first. So we have x squared minus 6x, leave a space to complete the square. We have y squared plus 8y. So I'm just taking these and I'm just putting them in a different order. Right, and then I'm going to have this equal our constant on the other side, which is negative 5. Okay. Whoops, I probably should leave myself some more space to complete the y. Square equals negative 5. I move this to the other side. That's all I did with that one. Okay, so we're going to complete the square with the x. Okay, we're going to take half the x, which is going to be 3, negative 3 technically, and we're going to square it. It's become 9. We're going to add 9. Since we added 9 to this side, we have to add 9 to that side to keep the equation balanced. Okay, now we're going to continue. We're going to continue to add this over here. I'm going to take half of 8y, positive 8y, and we're going to square, that's 4, and we're going to square that. Right, we're only taking the constant in front of that, right? So we're going to square 8, right? And we're going to add 16 to both sides. Got to keep it balanced. 16. Okay, so now we can take the blue x values. We're going to put them inside. The first term determines our first term in here. We're just going to take the square root of it. Our second term determines the sign. That's going to be negative because that's negative. And then our third term, we take the square root. It goes in our third term here. Okay, so that's our first term. And then we're going to develop our y term. It's the same way. Right, we go our first term, second term sine, third term square root. And that's going to be squared. And it's going to add up everything in here. So 5 negative plus 9 plus 16 equals 20. This is going to be equal to 20. Let's add that up again. 5 negative plus 9 plus 16 is indeed equal to 20. Okay, so what? The square root of 20. The square root of 20 is 2 equals 2 square root of 5. So why did I do that? Well, remember this thing over here in the proper form of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So I got 20 over here, but I have to take the square root of 20 in order to make this thing a radius squared. So I'm going to put is equal to this squared. So my radius is the center. So the center of the circle is positive 3, comma, and negative 4. Remember, because it's negative h, negative k, so I take the opposite of my signs, and my radius of the circle is 2 square root of 5. Okay, so that's that one. What ordered pair that contains the maximum y value of the circle? Alright, so my maximum y value of the circle is going to be, let's see, so maximum y value of the circle would be my center. My x value would be 3, because that's the center point. Right, and then my y value would be this value of the center point plus my radius. Alright, so it's going to be negative 4, sure, I'll write it like that, negative 4 plus 2 square root of 5, because that's what it is. Right, so that is how, that's really what it is. It's you could turn this into a decimal and add it. 2 square root of 5 times 2 is just a little bit over 4, so it'd be like 0.47 would be the top end of that. But effectively, that's what it would look like. Well, I guess it's going to have me look like it. So I'm going to sketch a graph. I have the circle at 3 and negative 4 for my center point. 3 and negative 4 for my center point. Right, so that's my center point. My range is going to be plus or minus, like I said, 2 or square root of 5 times 2 is like 4, just under 4.5. So just under 4.5. So it's going to go, my y value is, so just under 4.5. So that's like 4, like right there. And then it's going to be like 4 down, and like right there. So that's going to be my range. Okay, well, you can't see what I'm doing. That's going to be my range. And then my domain is going to be 3. Again, my 2 square root of 5 is that, right? Square root of 5 times 2. That's my radius. Just under 4.5. Right, so 4.5. That's going to be like 7.5. And this is going to be like 3. That's going to make it 4.5 right there. So from there I can, this is my domain. My domain is represented by this blue line here. It's my center point plus or minus my radius in the x direction. And my circle is going to look something like this. Let's see if I can draw this thing with this cheap compass that they fall apart a lot. But the trick is to push down and not out. Alright, so that's kind of like what my circle looks like on that one. Okay, that looks like it's the last of the circle stuff, so I'm going to wrap this one up at 35 minutes.